All right, we are recording, and I think we're going live on Facebook. It looks like maybe it's still thinking about it. I think we're live. I think that's it. I think we're live. Woohoo!
It says it's live for me.
It says it's live for you. Yay! All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April First Friday Facebook Live on the Ask a Bookkeeper show. Our mission on Ask a Bookkeeper is to take the big, intimidating ideas that often scare small business owners away from following their dreams, and we simply turn them into another fun part of the adventure of running a small business. You can think of us kind of like Sesame Street for small business owners. Our show is largely crowdfunded, which is why we're not advertising or thanking any sponsors today. So if this information is helpful to you, please make sure to check out askabookkeeper.com and click the button to donate. From there, you can also access our YouTube channel and our Facebook group, where you can see past episodes and participate in ongoing discussions that can help you succeed in your business. Pretty please subscribe to us on YouTube and be sure to tell your friends how awesome this is. I'm your host, Ingrid Edstrom, the Priestess of Profits, and I am here with my co-host today, Penny, the Practical Professional.
Hi, how's everyone doing out there?
And we are so excited to introduce our special guest, Lou Radja, who's one of my favorite public speakers and coaches, in addition to being one of my favorite people. We're going to talk with Lou about what it means to be more, give more. So Lou, welcome to Ask a Bookkeeper, and perhaps we can begin by having you tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and your work.
Well, Ingrid, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to connect and have an exchange. And it is a delight to meet Penny for the first time. Hi, Penny.
So great to meet you too, Lou.
Wow, this is awesome. I want to start going back to my early beginnings. I come from the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, where life is a little bit more difficult than it is here in the United States. And so growing up, I met people, amazing people around me with such organic brilliance, but no real opportunity to showcase their value, their contributions, their ideas, their innovative thoughts. And so I come from that background. So I come from that pain, that suffering. So my mission in life was always about how do I close my own gap, the gap between where I am and where I want to be, and just be as resourceful as possible, just resilient as possible, and do as much as I can. And this all comes from my dad, my mom, and a lot of the community members back home that really inspired me to do so. Now, that was the first job. The first job is to always close your own gap. So this is about you. This is where Be More comes in. But then you got to turn right around and help others do the same. That's where we find meaning. That's where we find significance. That's where we find purpose. Hence the Give More. So Be More is about you taking the elevator to the top. Give More is about you sending it back down for others. That's the life that has a little bit of a hybrid, and that's what it's about. That's what I do.
Oh, I like that analogy with the elevator. That's great.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I love that. So when it comes to bridging one's own gap, I would love for us to dig in a little bit more to that. And how do we go about doing that? How do we recognize what our gap might be? And yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think it starts with having a purpose. I sound like a broken record when it comes to this, but I have to say it again. It's really about having a vision of what you want, having an idea of what you want to accomplish. And we learn from two sources in life, other people's experience and our own personal experience. And our own personal experience is by far the most important of the two. So you have to first be able to live out some of these ideals that you want, some of the promises that you've made to yourself, and how to accomplish them. So it starts with a why. In leadership, in business, in life, we train that when the why is strong, the how becomes easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having that sense of purpose, why Why did you wake up this morning? Why should anyone give a damn that you woke up this morning? What would happen if you didn't wake up this morning? So it's really about having a vision and a purpose. And then from there, all of a sudden, resourcefulness kicks in, resilience kicks in, effort, hard work, all of those things start to manifest a lot more easily because you have a sense of purpose. So for me, it was always about adding value in the lives of others. So my personal mission statement is I exist to uplift humanity's consciousness and to add value in the lives of others through my words, my thoughts, and my deeds. Now, I don't care what your why is. Your why could be bringing smiles in people's faces. Your why could be helping people get their finances in order so they can afford themselves the freedom to do what they want. Your why can be to start a small business. It doesn't matter what it is, but being laser focused on that allows you to have that sense of resolve. That's one. Second, you can never do anything alone. So I always encourage people to turn on their blinker, announce to the world what you're actually trying to accomplish. And all sorts of serendipitous things starts happening. People show up. Back home, we say, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with others. So I'm always a fan of shared success. And that usually happens when you announce to the world what you want to make happen. And then, of course, three, you go into strategy, the actual work that it takes. I think only in a dictionary does success come before work. In real life, you got to work. So that's the third piece where you just got to stop dreaming a little too much and get down to the ground level and then go to work. I think there's no way around that. So those are the three steps.
Beautiful.
So can you say each of those three steps again, just to review?
Absolutely. One is about having a strong why.
Start with why.
Start with why. That's what it's about, having a sense of purpose. And by the way, some people might feel like they don't know what their why is, and that's fine. Take the time to explore. Unplug from the matrix. You know what I mean? Go away, go to the beach, close the door, write in your journal, ask yourselves prompt questions. Just find out why you're on this planet. I think Mark Twain said, two of the most important dates of our lives, the day we were born and the day we found out why. So that is super important to do the work on your why. Second, I always say, open up, turn on your blinker, announce your intentions to the world, and the Ingrids of the world will pop up. The Pennies of the world will pop up. And before you know it, you have a whole community and you can do so much more. That's why I'm here, right? And then third is the execution piece. This is really about having your strategy, having your work plan, and getting up early and doing the work. That's it.
Nice. So start with why, tell people about your why, and then do it.
Go to work.
Yeah, I like it.
Go to work, baby, go to work.
Yay. So I would love to explore how we can apply some of these ideas in our world today, because our world today is really interesting. For people who are watching this video on YouTube, maybe a year or two down the line, it is currently April 3rd, 2020, which means that we have been quarantined against coronavirus for a few weeks. And everything is changing really, really quickly. And there are a lot of stressed out people in the world right now for a variety of reasons. Basically, what it comes down to is our world is grieving. And everyone's in various stages of the grief cycle. And figuring out where each of us is in that grief cycle, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, or acceptance, and sometimes we bounce around from one to another. They don't have to go in order. So we're grieving multiple things right now. We might be feeling different stages of the grief cycle about a lot of the different things that we're going through. So figuring out how to apply some of these ideas of, and turning the challenges that we're in into opportunities rather than being stuck in a mindset of finding the challenge of finding the challenges in the opportunities, seeking the opportunities in the challenges. And this can be a great opportunity. And one of the examples that comes to my mind, I taught a webinar yesterday. In amidst all of this, I got invited to speak at a virtual summit to the tours and activities industry, which is kind of my industry of specialty. And one of the stories I shared is about a client of mine who, through the 5-6 years that he and I have been working together, we've disruption-proof his business. He is pretty much ready for this experience that we're going through right now. He has the operations savings in place. He's got the owner pay savings in place, and he's good to go. No layoffs, no salary cuts. We're okay. But at the same time, he didn't start there. When I first met him 6+ years ago, he had a $30,000 tax bill that he didn't know how to pay. And that was his wake-up call. That was his disruption that caused him to learn the lesson that he needed to be able to make the changes that he needed to make. And I like to bring in the analogy of, it's kind of like going to the dentist. Pretty much all of us have had a cavity at some point. And can share that experience of going to the dentist, and when we're in the dentist chair experiencing that pain, and particularly afterward when we're paying the bill.
Yes.
We solemnly swear that we are going to take better care of our teeth from this moment forward. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we're solid about brushing twice a day and flossing every day from that point forward, and we're on it. Sometimes we do it for a couple weeks and then we go back to bad habits and not taking effective care of ourselves. And it's the same in so many different areas of our lives. It can be the same with our businesses. It can be the same in our finances. It can be the same in our relationships with our families and friends. And I think that right now, what the world is going through is an opportunity to stop, fully assess everything around us, really pay attention and figure out what needs to shift, and to try to change those habits rather than just being stuck inside waiting for things to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what we want the new normal to look like. So in the current situation, Lou, how can we apply Be More, Give More in our lives right now?
Absolutely. I love what you just shared about your client running a business and making sure that you and your client already did the work before this. And that's the beauty of your story, is that there was work before the work. In other words, you were prepared for such challenges like the one we're facing. We are always tasked as human beings to turn adversity into advantage. And this is a test. This is the biggest test we can ever have. I mean, this is a global test. It's a pandemic. And so all of us are impacted one way or the other. I'm reminded of a quote by Vivian Green that said, "Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. Life is about learning how to dance in the rain." So I'm asking all of our small business owners to dance in the rain, to keep their dancing shoes on. And here's what I'm going to share. Number one, gratitude. No matter what's going on in your life, whether it's sunny, whether it's raining, gratitude is it's a must. It's how we show thanksgiving for what we have, how we continuously count our blessings, how we continuously return the favor, how we continuously pay it forward, how we continuously teach others about gratitude, and how we continuously build on gratitude. Of all the virtues that we have out there, gratitude is by far the most foundational, because you can stack anything on top of it. Love, joy, empathy, all of it can be stacked on top of gratitude. So that's number one. And then number two is really empathy. People are hurting all around you. Your neighbor could be hurting, your parents could be hurting,
Mhm.
your colleagues could be hurting. So this is happening right now. So it's a shared human suffering that we're all experiencing. Therefore, it's an opportunity for us to be of value to others and make that your number one priority. Um, Gandhi, I believe, said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So this is the biggest opportunity we have to actually show value because the need is everywhere and it outweighs our efforts, right? So some people right now just want you to stop by their porch and leave something, a nice gift. Some people want an email, some people want a phone call, some people want a Zoom. Just find any opportunity you get to be of value to others. And then number three, no matter what's going on in your life, we have to still show up. Your clients still have needs. Now we're talking business. Your clients still have needs. We got to keep the lights on. We gotta feed ourselves. We got to continue moving. We got to send kids to school. So we cannot stop and just hang on and hope that this blows by. Tomorrow will be shaped by today's actions and inactions. So I'm asking everyone to stay on offense and not on defense. Stay on offense. In other words, do everything you can. Now, sometimes you can't avoid the hit. Some people are closing their shops. Some people are laying off people. This is painful. I understand. Give yourself grace. Give yourself time to deal with it, but at the same time, don't take too long. Don't take too long because what happens when you take too long? The weeds take over the garden. So we still gotta keep doing our work and tending to it. So I always want people to stay grateful, empathize with their shared fellow human beings, and then again, go back to work. At the end of the day, that's what it takes.
Absolutely
Well,
right.
and that does make a lot of sense. Like, well, and logistically, with a lot of businesses like mine, I have a pie shop, right? Penny's Pies, and I have a storefront, which of course is closed right now because we're not allowed to take customers in. I still have some wholesale orders, which I'm really grateful for that. So there's the gratitude. I'm really grateful that I can
Yeah,
really lean into the wholesale, start providing things to the local grocery stores. Of course, I'm losing a lot of my wholesale orders to restaurants. So many of my
right.
customers and colleagues are restaurant owners, and
Mm,
they can't go in at all. But some of them are experimenting with new things, doing takeout or delivery services that they've never done before. And I
mhm,
think they're the ones that are going to keep helping their customers. They're going to keep keep in mind, top of mind. Whereas the
mhm.
restaurants that are just closing completely, the ones that, like you said, I can't cross my fingers, but that said, I want this all to blow over soon.
Right,
They're the ones that are gonna unfortunately be forgotten about. So yeah,
right.
I think restaurants are really being hit hard, but some of them are really being innovative. And I'd like to hear, like, what other ideas might you have, or Ingrid, for some of my colleagues that don't have those kinds of options. Other restaurants that feel like they need to close or they're taking a big hit. Um, yeah, what else can they do to help invest in the future and in their clients?
Yeah, well, a lot of businesses right now are having to get really creative with where money is coming from. And so they're looking for creative ways to make money, like you mentioned, doing takeout. I know for the tours and activities businesses that I serve, some of them have started providing online virtual tours, which is a cool creative thing. People are needing
That's
things to
cool.
do, needing to find ways to get out. um, and then there's also the looking for other forms of work that can be done. So shifting our focus um, to other forms of work. I mean, what are the needs of the world right now? If fine dining is not a particular thing that the world is in need of at this moment, then putting the fine dining on hold and finding other ways to apply ourselves to being able to be of service is important. Whether that be finding another job or volunteering just to make sure that we are going out there and doing something to be of service to others. It's one of the things, I serve the travel industry. A lot of my clients are pretty much on hold right now. But I would not know what to do with myself if I was not helping small businesses succeed. So finding
Yeah.
other ways to do that is very, very important. And then there's also, if for those of us who are struggling and still trying to figure out what our pivot looks like, there's unemployment benefits that can be looked into to bring income into our lives. And there's also the Small Business Administration, the SBA, relief through the CARES Act. And there's more information coming out about how to take advantage of those resources every day. So just keeping an eye on YouTube, just make sure that if you are looking into those options, get your information on how to do those things from reputable sources. We do not want to add identity theft and fraud to the list of the problems going on in the world right now.
Right. Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of big things to think about. And I love, Lou, what you were saying about empathy and compassion. And I think that it's really important to recognize that, one, all of our experiences are valid, just like you were saying about close your own gap. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's also the thief of validation.
Yeah.
Each of us is experiencing a lot of pain right now. There's a lot of stress going on. And I've been hearing from people a lot, oh, there's people out there in the world right now who are dying, who have loved ones who are dying, who have no money right now. And in our own personal experiences, it's sometimes a defense mechanism, distancing ourselves from our own emotions to say, well, I'm not in one of those totally dire circumstances, so I don't have anything to complain about. Whatever each of us is feeling in each moment through this is valid. And I think,
Absolutely.
yes, I think it's important to recognize that our emotions and what each of us is going through in this is important, because that is our own personal experience.
Yes.
Now, we can learn from other people's experiences, but those other experiences are not a measuring stick to compare ourselves against.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
part of that is exactly what you were saying, Lou, about empathy, having compassion for ourselves and for others, recognizing that the way our brains work is when we're stressed, our prefrontal cortex goes pop, and our limbic brain, our amygdala, starts dumping adrenaline and cortisol, and we're all stressed out and we're not thinking straight. So if we encounter somebody who's super, super stressed and they're not thinking straight, rather than getting angry at them in return, recognizing where they are in their process and trying to provide compassion and empathy and tools to help us get our lids back on. And sometimes focusing on solutions is the best way to do that. Empathy, compassion, and solutions.
Absolutely. I always think about, no matter what I'm going through, keeping the appreciative inquiry mindset. Appreciative inquiry is the work of Dr. David Cooperrider out of Case Western, who coined it in the late 80s. But the idea of appreciative inquiry is building on what works versus trying to fix what's not. In other words, the qualifying question is what's going well. Now, that's a tough question to ask right now, because most people are like, nothing is going well. But reality, if you take a second or two or three or four, you will find those answers. What's going well in your life? There are people right now who are now connecting better than they never had, because they've been busy. They never even had a meal around one another. There are neighbors who are actually finding out their names for the first time. There are people who are talking on the phone more. There are people who are FaceTiming, seeing newborns or older folks in their generations. I mean, there's so many hidden gems that are happening right now, and I don't want to lose sight of it. That's one.
Yes.
Two, when you are committed to an outcome, that's fine, but as long as you're flexible with the approach. In other words, you look at the marketplace right now, things are changing. And change only does two things. It can happen to you or it can happen for you. So those who think they would happen for them, they are more proactive and they take advantage of every opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
when the marketplace changes, then you got to do a needs assessment. You got to audit what the market is telling you, and then be ready to dump anything you've done in the past, change, pivot, do what you need to do to still serve your people. Sometimes the transactional part of the business might not be immediate, but the service can still be. So I'm asking people to stay creative and make the adjustment. For instance, as a speaker, trainer, and coach, I mean, my business took a major hit. All of the conferences were canceled.
Yep.
A lot of the businesses that I've worked with are literally closing, and others are on the brinks. So what did I have to do? I had to adjust. I had to adjust and reach out to every single one of them, make sure they were okay, make sure I can provide any value, even pro bono online, and then make sure I give them tools to help them. Because when you're thinking about others, it allows you to solve your own problems as well.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and I want to bring it back to what you were saying at the very beginning about dancing in the rain and resilience. And when I think about resilience, one of the first things I think about is pivot. What I do when I am in a
Yeah.
situation and things don't go as planned, whether it be, because of a mistake or external circumstances, whatever the case, got to make a new plan. That was then, this is now. Time to
Yes.
figure it out. And we're all throwing spaghetti at the wall, figuring out what's going to stick. And the ones who take the sticky noodles and share them with others, they're thought leaders. And there's no limit to the number of thought leaders we can have in this world. We're all in a new situation that no one has been in before. Our world has not experienced something this dramatic and global since the 40s, since World War II.
Yeah.
So figuring out how to deal with this new situation, we are all making it up as we go, sharing our sticky noodles. And if we had a world full of thought leaders, wonderful. But when we have to pivot like that, and we're just pivoting over and over and over again, well, guess what? That's the tango. That's the foxtrot. That's cha-cha. We're dancing. We're dancing in the rain. Pivot, pivot, pivot. Here we
Exactly.
go.
Exactly. And I love how Penny shared about her adjustments with her pie business,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it's about: connecting with people and groceries. I mean, that's what it's about at the end of the day. How do we make the best of this scenario? Now, one thing I'm going to share with your audience right now: never waste a good crisis. I'm going to say that again. Never waste a good crisis, the one that we're going through right now, because here's what happens. A crisis is fertile ground for change. A crisis is fertile ground for change. So this is the best opportunity we have to make those adjustments and shifts right now, so
Yes.
that when we're on the other side of the storm, we are actually leading versus reacting.
That's beautiful. Love it.
Yes.
Don't
I
waste.
love all your little.
Oh,
What?
go ahead, Penny.
Oh, I was gonna say I love all your little sound bites. Like so much of this could just be like put on motivational posters. I love the crisis is fertile ground for change. And another one you said earlier was finding the advantage in adversity. That's really really potent, because it's not just about making do with the adversity. It's about turning it into something positive.
Absolutely.
We need a
Yeah.
bunch of Lou memes to post all over the internet. That'll be great.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Yay. Well, we've got just a couple minutes left, and I see that we do have a couple people watching on the back end of Zoom here. Janice and Jocelyn, thanks so much for joining us today. And if either of you have any questions for Lou or Penny or me, go ahead and post them in the chat. And yeah, it looks like somebody is watching us on Facebook as well. Sade Eisenhower, Tom Amate, thank you so much for joining us on our live adventure today. So yeah, with just the couple minutes we have left, Lou, if there's one main thing that we would like our audience and the world to gain from this, the key takeaway, what would that be?
I would say dance in the rain. So I want every single person that is watching this to know that they have what it takes to get through this. Don't wait. Don't be passive. Be on offense every single day. If that means just calling grandma to say hi is not an option. So go forth.
Beautiful.
Right on.
Yay. Fantastic. Well, we are at the top of the hour. So thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks so much to everybody who tuned in live and to everyone who is watching us on YouTube or on Facebook after the fact. Want everyone to stay safe and dance in the rain as much as possible and post on the Facebook group what you're going through right now, and feel free to ask for help. We're all here to help each other create a rising tide that raises all ships and not waste this crisis. Let's see how much we can change for the better. You know, there's so much shifting right now in our own personal lives, in our businesses, and in our world as pollution is decreasing, as, you know, all kinds of things are shifting.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there is a post from Jocelyn. Thank you so much. Very uplifting. It's snowing here, so maybe I'll go dance in the snow. Yay. Yes, Jocelyn.
Yes,
That sounds
yes.
wonderful.
Have a snowball fight.
Brilliant,
You
brilliant.
can
Yes,
stay 10
thanks so much
feet
to
away with a
everyone
snowball
for
fight.
joining us. And check us out on askabookkeeper.com. Donate if this is important to you, and follow us on YouTube. And thanks so much, Lou, for joining us. Be more, give more. Mwah.
Thank you so much, and nice to meet you, Penny.
Nice to meet you too, Lou. This was really great. I appreciate it so much. And I hope
Awesome.
you have a great rest of your day. And a great
You
weekend
too.
too.
You too. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.